The Forsaken Heir. Previous episodes are available on the playlist. You can also visit our website for your favorite stories. A link is provided in the video description. Episode 25. Charlie nodded and said lightly, "Get up, sort out the Wei family's industry and manage it well. Someday in the future, I may use you." Liang immediately said, "Mr. Wade has any instructions, Liang dare not disobey." For Liang, his life has been completely completed today. Therefore, for the rest of his life, there are only two thoughts in his mind. First, repay Charlie's great kindness. Second, live a different life from young Zheng. Charlie patted Liang on the shoulder and said indifferently, "Do a good job so that your mother can be proud of you even under heavens." Liang nodded his head heavily, tears couldn't stop screaming. Charlie said to Tiankai and Silvia at this time, "The matter is settled, let's go." Silvia looked at Charlie at this time as if she looked at the God of Heaven. She had never expected that a man could be so domineering and even so attractive. When Charlie sent out the Wei family father and son just now, that courage was really unprecedented. Although Tiankai had been known throughout his life, he also admired Charlie more and more, feeling that his decision to stay in Oris Hill was one of the most correct decisions he had made in these years. On the way back, Silvia drove. Charlie and Tiankai were sitting in the back row. Tiankai was still sighing, "Mr. Wade, your handling of the Wei family is really reasonable and well-founded. I admire it." Charlie smiled slightly. The best way to punish a person is to force him to accept what he hates the most. Qinbei Mountain is our treasure mountain in China. It is rich in resources. I don't know how many natural materials and treasures there are, but young Zhang mentioned it. Qinbei Mountain is disgusted and spurned. In that case, it is better to let him live in Qinbei Mountain for the rest of his life. After a pause, Charlie went on to say, if he can realize the beauty of Qinbei Mountain for the rest of his life, then he will be considered as not lost. If he persists until death, he will also spend the rest of his life in pain, and die in pain with his current attitude. Tiankai sighed, "Mr. Wade, you want young Zhang to go by himself." Charlie said lightly, "I'm not that great. I just want to teach him a deep enough lesson for the rest of his life. As for whether he can survive on his own, it has nothing to do with me. Maybe he couldn't stand the environment there and commit suicide after he arrives in Qinbei Mountain. Or he can fully realize that there is a good death in Qinbei Mountain, but it all depends on him and has nothing to do with me." Tiankai arched his hands and said convincingly, "Mr. Wade, you are a man of great wisdom." Charlie waved his hand, "Great wisdom dare not be, just a little clever." As he said, Charlie remembered something, took out a small wooden box from his pocket, and handed it to him. "Old Shi, this is the medicine I saved for you. You keep it." Tiankai hurriedly took it and said gratefully, "Thank you, Mr. Wade." Charlie took out a newly refined rejuvenating pill and handed it to him. "This medicine is newly refined by me. If you take it before going to bed at night, it will make you at least 10 years younger. If nothing happens, lifespan can also increase by 10 years. Tiankai was shocked and dumbfounded. Mr. Wade, this medicine really has such a magical effect. Rejuvenation pill, to ordinary people, can indeed be regarded as an elixir. After all, this thing can really make people younger and even extend their life. However, to Charlie, this pill was nothing special. Even if it was a rejuvenating pill, it was just a relatively low-level pill recorded in the 9 profound heaven scriptures. This time, he refined a total of 30 pills. He prepared one part for himself to use to strengthen his body, and the other part. If there is someone who is more obedient and sensible, he can reward one with. Although Tian Kai is very old and an old senior in the field of traditional medicine, in Charlie's eyes, he is actually only half of his disciple. He wholeheartedly hopes to be by his side and repay him for his kindness in rebuilding. In many cases, although he can't help too much, but fortunately, he has a sincere heart. Coupled with his old age, giving him a rejuvenation pill is also a favor. So he said to Tian Kai, "Don't be reluctant to take this medicine, and don't keep it, take it tonight, and then get a good sleep." Tian Kai suppressed the excitement in his heart and said respectfully, "I understand, Master." Charlie nodded slightly and said, "I hope you will be healthy and youthful and make more contributions to ordinary people in the clinic." Tian Kai said immediately, "Mr. Wade can rest assured, I opened the clinic, not to make money, but to treat patients and save people. Patients are never charged for medical treatment, and only charge for medicine. If the family has difficulties, medical expenses are often exempted." Charlie said with satisfaction, "This is a good thing, keep it up." When Charlie just returned home, Fredman, who was finally cured of the root ulcer, left the People's Hospital and returned to Wilson's house. The reason why he came to the People's Hospital was mainly to find a doctor for another diagnosis and see if he was really well. The doctor also found it very miraculous. This was a serious ulcer that was about to be amputated, but he didn't expect it to be abruptly restored. After going through a series of inspections and confirming that the ulcer was cured, Fredman was completely relieved. After leaving the hospital, Fredman looked up at Oris Hill sky, and shook his head bitterly. He felt that the aura of Oris Hill was not compatible with him, so he planned to pack his luggage and return to East Cliff immediately. Oris Hill has become Fredman's sad place. If it is not necessary, he will never want to come back in his life. Before coming to Oris Hill, he was a dragon and phoenix among the people. After coming, he lost his male prowess. Not only that, but also suffered all kinds of humiliation, and even almost lost the most precious thing. But what did he get? Nothing. Even the young and beautiful Wendy, after only a few days of getting started, he completely lost the ability to get started. And he spent 15 million to live a happy life in those few days. Thinking about it now, Fredman still feels pain. Where did Wendy know that she was already the woman with the least value for money in Fredman's eyes? She has been waiting for Fredman to come back, waiting for Fredman to regain his glory. After Fredman returned to the Wilson family, they saw Fredman coming back and hurriedly greeted him and said with joy, "Fredman, you are finally back. Has the Wei family cured your illness?" Fredman said irritably, "The Wei family couldn't cure my disease at all, so I asked Charlie to treat me in the end." "Charlie?" Wendy hurriedly asked, "Did he heal you?" Fredman sighed and said, "He's just cured the fester, but it still can't be used." Wendy said indignantly, "Then you shouldn't let the Wei family go easily, especially that Barona. It was he who fooled you when you took their Wei family's inferior medicine and caused you to suffer so much sin and so much suffering. Let them heal you for that too. Fredman said with a cold face, Charlie was here today, so I won't continue to care about this matter with the Wei family. After I return to Eastcliff, I will ask the Wei family for an explanation. When Wendy heard this, she asked in surprise, Mr. Fredman, are you going back to Eastcliff? Fredman glanced at Wendy, and said lightly, of course I have to go back. Hasn't it been unlucky enough for me in Oris Hill? When Wendy heard that the great god of wealth was going to leave, she was a little flustered, and quickly said, but Fredman, I don't want to leave you, you take me to Eastcliff, okay? Wendy knew that the Wilson family had no hope of turning over this time. Fredman promised to invest 80 million, but only 10 million was actually invested, which is not enough to repay the debt. She now feels that she has nowhere to go. Oris Hill already knows about being Fredman's lover. In the future, she wants to find a good person to marry in Oris Hill, and the chance is almost zero. Therefore, she can only hug Fredman's thigh tightly now, otherwise, she will not be able to turn over in her life. However, how could Fredman take her to Eastcliff? After all, he is a person with a family, otherwise his wife would not have a quarrel. Besides, it is useless for Fredman to ask Wendy now. He can only see but can't eat. What's the use? Therefore, Fredman said rudely to Wendy, Eastcliff is not something you can go to. Honestly, stay in Oris Hill. Wendy panicked and blurted out, then what should I do? Fredman said coldly, what else can we do? The fate of the two of us is exhausted. As for whether there will be fate in the future, I will talk about it when I come back from Eastcliff one day. Fredman was about to leave suddenly, and the entire Wilson family was confused. The old Mrs. Wilson also counted on Fredman to make up for the 80 million promised. If Fredman left at this time, it would be equivalent to kicking the Wilson family into the abyss. At that time, the Wilson family had no other way to go except bankrupt. Moreover, because the company still has a lot of debts that cannot be paid off, even the old villa of Mrs. Wilson will not be able to keep it. Therefore, Fredman almost became the only life-saving straw for Mr. Wilson. If he left, the Wilson family would be in desperation again. So, the old Mrs. Wilson was blushing, begging to Fredman, Fredman, if you leave, our Wilson family will be over. We are your own family. Wendy has followed you again. You can't leave her behind. Having said that, the old Mrs. Wilson said busy, Fredman, why don't you take her back to Eastcliff? She will be by your side in the future, and everything will be yours. Noah also begged and said, yes, Fredman, you are in Oris Hill these days, our Wilson family treats you in every possible way. My father saved your father's life, so you should do your best and take her to Eastcliff. Fredman looked at the old Mrs. Wilson and Noah, with a look of disgust flashing in his eyes, and said coldly, joke, we are not relatives, why are you following me to Eastcliff? Speaking of this, Fredman said again, furthermore, although your old master did save my father back then, I invested 10 million in your Wilson family, and it can be regarded as paying off this favor. So from now on, we will owe each other no debt. Fredman couldn't look down on the old Mrs. Wilson, so it was impossible to manage the life and death of the Wilson family. Now he just wants to return to East Cliff quickly, and then visit East Cliff's famous doctor to see if he can heal. At this time, the old Mrs. Wilson still wanted to come over and beg for a few words, but Fredman did not give her a chance at all and waved his hand directly. "Okay, I will go up and pack things now, so please do it yourself." Old Mrs. Wilson's face turned pale, and she continued to plead, "Mr. Wilson, you can't leave us behind. You know the current situation of our Wilson family. Without your support, it will definitely collapse completely." With that, the old Mrs. Wilson winked at Wendy quickly. Wendy also immediately pleaded, "Fredman, Grandma said yes, and you said before that you want to invest 80 million in the Wilson family? Only 10 million has been given until now, which can't solve the Wilson family's problems." As she said, he was busy and said again, "Why don't you give us the remaining 70 million, so that we can continue to maintain it, and how we can go back to Oris Hill in the future, we may already be relieved." Others also looked expectantly. Fredman could leave, but the money had to be given, otherwise the Wilson family would be gone. Harold also licked his face to Fredman and said, "Fredman, my sister has followed you. Who does not know that Oris Hill is an upper-class person? You also know that she is still an unmarried girl. She is your woman. You can't watch her suffer when you are gone, right?" What the Wilson family didn't expect was that Fredman's expression became even uglier after hearing this. He cursed with a dark face, "Money, money, money, you 3 generations of grandparents, you know you want money every day. Even if I'm worthy of you, if I didn't take back your 10 million, you still dare to ask me for money? Dream." The old Mrs. Wilson still didn't give up. She squeezed out a few tears and said, "Fredman, you can do it well. Without your help, our Wilson family will be over." Others also pleaded, just like a beggar on the side of the road. Fredman was upset by the quarrel and directly slapped the old Mrs. Wilson with a slap. "One more nonsense, I will immediately ask the lawyer to seek compensation from you and ask you to refund the previous 10 million investment. You can figure it out." Old Mrs. Wilson covered her face, and she didn't dare to speak any more. What if Fredman is really anxious and asks for the 10 million? As a result, she could only sigh in her heart, while watching Fredman finish packing his luggage and leave with the bodyguard. After Fredman left, the 5 members of the Wilson family fell into a sad atmosphere. Old Mrs. Wilson was upset, Harold and Wendy were perplexed, while Noah and his wife Horia had their own ghosts. In fact, Noah still had some savings in his hands. He himself had a deposit of about 10 million. Later, the 5 million that Fredman gave to Wendy also went into the pockets of the couple. This 15 million was for buying a house. If he took the money out, he would be able to pay off most of the debts of the Wilson family, but how could he be willing? The current Wilson family is a bottomless pit, and money is filled in, and there will be no return. In that case, why invest money? Anyway, the company belongs to Mrs. Wilson, and she is also responsible for the debt relationship. If the court seizes her villa and funds in the future, she will not find her own. If she owns this 15 million, she is considered to have it. A foundation for the elderly. Thinking of this, Noah deliberately wanted to give the ball to Mrs. Wilson, so he took the lead and said anxiously, Mom, our bank and supplier still are to be paid a lot of debts. If they come to the door, what shall we pay back? Ah! I'm afraid that even this villa will be closed for auction by the bank. We have to prepare in advance. Old Mrs. Wilson also looks sad. How to do it? What can we do? The Wilson family now has no source of income, owes a lot of foreign debt, and the capital chain has long been broken. At this time, the only thing that can be done is to quickly find investment, otherwise it will soon fall apart. However, Fredman, who was most likely to help the Wilson family, also left. Who else can the Wilson family call now? Old Mrs. Wilson sighed and said, now that we can only go one step at a time. As she said, her eyes suddenly lit up, looked at Wendy, and blurted out, Wendy, didn't Fredman give you to Barina? Although the strength of the Way family is not as good as Fredman, the scale of assets is at least 2 billion, how about you go to him and find a way to let him invest tens of millions to help us tide over the difficulties? Noah also said excitedly, yes. Why forgot Barina from the Way family? Wendy, you have had some stories with him anyway, at this time he can't help but die. Wendy was too embarrassed to do her best for her own people at this time. When she thought that Barina could solve the problems of the Wilson family, she immediately took out her mobile phone and called Barina. But how did she know that Barina was sitting in a Land Cruiser at this time, heading north quickly? The driver who drove didn't know whether it was intentional or intentional. He played a folk song from mountains all the way from north, and Barina felt cold when he heard the song. Moreover, his mobile phone was taken away and turned off long ago, because Charlie clearly ordered that he could not use his mobile phone or surf the internet. Therefore, he didn't even know that Wendy was looking for him at this time and was anxious. Wendy was a little surprised after a few phone calls could not be made. She held her mobile phone and muttered, "What's the matter?" Barina's phone turned off. Their Way family just solved Fredman's troubles. It should be time to breathe. Old Mrs. Wilson said, "Maybe the phone is out of power, please try again later." Okay. Wendy was about to try again later. At this time, the great turmoil that had just occurred in the Way family had spread throughout Oris Hill. Especially the pharmaceutical industry has directly turned up the stormy sea. Young Zheng, the head of the Way family, and his eldest son, Barina, the future successor of Way's Pharmaceuticals, were driven to Chenbai Mountain, and there were even multiple families jointly issued a killing order. Everyone realized that young Zheng and Barina must be someone who has offended someone. But no one knows who they offended. The Way family dare not talk nonsense, let alone naming him. The news spread more widely and faster, and soon reached Noah. When he found that Barina and his father young Zheng had completely lost power and were now on their way to dig ginseng in Chenbai Mountain, he suddenly fell into despair. He told the Wilson family about the incident. The old Mrs. Wilson's blood pressure went up on the spot, and she fell back in a daze. If Noah didn't have eyesight and quick hands, the Lady Wilson might fall into trouble. Noah helped the Lady Wilson onto the sofa and sat down. The Lady Wilson burst into tears, patted her thighs and cried, "God, you are going to kill the Wilson family." Mrs. Wilson's whole body was completely desperate. She didn't want all the hard work of a lifetime to be wasted in the end. Moreover, she has no other real estate in Oris Hill, Only this villa. If the Wilson family really goes bankrupt, this villa will definitely be sealed up. At that time, she and her eldest son's family will all be on the streets. She suddenly remembered that the eldest son Noah should still have some money in his hands, so she hurriedly asked him, "Noah, how much money do you have now?" Noah sighed in his heart and blurted out, "Mom, I don't have much money in my hand, just a few million." "Few millions? Why are so few?" The old Mrs. Wilson frowned and asked. "Fredman alone gave Wendy 5 million. You ate and lived at home all these years, and you also received the salary of the Wilson Group. How about your savings?" Noah cried and said, "Mom, how can I save? Although the expenses in life are low these years, I still have to raise Harold, Wendy, and Harriet, and I spend money on my own. It is also relatively large, so basically no money has been saved." Old Mrs. Wilson said, "In this way, you first put the money out and invest it in the company. It can be delayed for a while, and then I will find a way to find some investment." Noah hurriedly said, "Mom, I bought all this money for regular financial management, I can't get it out." "You don't joke with me." Old Mrs. Wilson snorted coldly and said, "Don't think I don't know your careful thoughts, don't you just have the savings for yourself?" Noah didn't dare to make a sound. The old Mrs. Wilson asked, "Have you heard a word? There are finished eggs under the covered nest? If the Wilson family falls, do you think you can live well?" Noah nodded hurriedly and said, "Mom, you are right, but I really save my money regularly." "How about regular?" Mrs. Wilson said coldly, "It's not that I haven't saved money. Regular financial management can be withdrawn in advance. It is nothing more than loss of interest. In this situation, you still think about regular financial management? Interest? I'll give you one day, quickly take the money out, put it in the company account, and then I will communicate with a few creditors to see if I can make an installment repayment. It is best to get us time to breathe for a year or two. These years, it is also very troublesome for creditors to collect debts. Therefore, sometimes if the debtor has a good attitude and can clearly give an installment repayment method, and can pay a little first, most creditors will agree to installment repayment." What the old Mrs. Wilson wanted was to use Noah's millions to stabilize the remaining creditors, and then buy herself some time. Otherwise, the villa may be sealed up next month. Noah was 10,000 unwilling in his heart. He knows that the Wilson family is now a bottomless pit, and he doesn't want to put money into it. But since his mother asked so strongly, he can only nod his head, pretend to agree, and say, "Don't worry, I'll wait with Harriet. Go to the bank and withdraw the money from financial management and transfer it to the company's account." Old Mrs. Wilson was slightly satisfied, and she said, "I guess you have at least 10 million in cash, so let's put 8 million in the company's account first, not more." Noah cursed secretly in his heart, the Lady Wilson's appetite is really big enough, presuming that he has 10 million, and she wants 8? This money, he will not give a cent. Thinking of this, he promised in face, while quietly winking at Harriet. After agreeing to come down, Noah said to the Lady Wilson, "Mom, Harriet and I are going to bank now. You can wait a while at home." Mrs. Wilson nodded in satisfaction, "Go and come back quickly." Noah took Harriet out of the house. Horia couldn't wait to ask, "Are you crazy? Why promise the Lady Wilson to give her 8 million? We only have 15 millions in total." "I'm not crazy," Noah said hurriedly. "Promise to my mother is just a slow down. Let's spend the money quickly so she won't worry about it anymore. It's best to find a good house today and buy it." Horia asked in surprise, "Buy now?" "Yes," Noah said. "Didn't my mother think that I have 10 million? Then let's use 10 million to buy a house, and then throw the house purchase contract in front of her and tell her that she has the money to buy a house." "What?" Horia suddenly smiled, and blurted out, "Okay, always do it, I really have you. Come. Let's go to the real estate now." When the Wilson family was in trouble again, the Way family became famous throughout Oris Hill. What happened just now in the Way family made countless people sigh with emotion. They realized that as long as your strength is not top-notch, you are likely to become the fish of the strong at any time. Way's Pharmaceuticals can be regarded as a large pharmaceutical company in the south of the Yangtze River, and Yangzheng and Barana have also enjoyed unlimited success. But now, in a blink of an eye, the two were sent to Chenbai Mountain and became ginseng pickers with no identities, difficult survival, and never leaving Chenbai Mountain. It couldn't be more miserable. And the illegitimate son Liang, who is the most unwelcome and has almost no presence in the Wei family, has become the head of the Wei family and the chairman of Wei's Pharmaceutical. This is really shocking. However, surprise is surprised, but everyone knows that Liang inherits the entire Wei family alone, which is definitely the rhythm of the upcoming rise. Moreover, it seems that Orville, White family, Qin family, and even Song family are all behind helping Liang to sit as chairman. This proves that Liang has a certain relationship with these families, and represents that Liang's strength will be improved on the basis of the original Wei family. Before today, many people in Oris Hill had bullied Liang. Before, Liang was only an illegitimate child, and his status in the Wei family was not much better than that of his subordinates. He came out with Barana, and he was insulted by others. Many people even deliberately insulted Liang in order to please Barana. They thought that Liang would not be able to turn over in his entire life, but no one expected that he would actually turn over, and even so thoroughly. So, starting from noon, many people from the Wei family came to him. They presented Liang with generous gifts and congratulated him on his appointment as chairman of Wei's Pharmaceuticals. Among them, many people are those who have insulted him, and even those who have beaten and insulted him. Not only did they prepare generous gifts, they even hoped that Liang would forgive them with sincerity, for fear that after Liang's rise, but he would also seek revenge from them. And Liang really did not take the opportunity to take revenge at all. He smiled and treated everyone who had insulted him with a smile. Because he always followed Charlie's instructions in his heart, he would never be the kind of person he hated the most. The humiliation and oppression that he has suffered before are all tempered by God. If it weren't for those experiences, how could he have this good fortune and be helped by Mr. Wade to a high position? Therefore, he did not dare to float, and he did not dare to float at all. He just wanted to be a human being, act low-key, and do well in Wei's Pharmaceuticals, to satisfy Mr. Wade, but also to have more abilities and opportunities to repay his kindness. When the Wei family news hit the whole city, Charlie, who threw the Wei family father and son into hell and lifted Liang to the sky, was wearing an apron at home and cooking lunch for his wife and father-in-law. At the dinner table, Jacob and Elaine were actively discussing things about the Wei family. The two liked to discuss such gossip, especially Elaine. If she knew someone had something wrong, she would be happy for 3 days. Just when Elaine laughed at Wei family father and son for having blood mold, Claire couldn't help but said, "Mom, don't always look down at people and make jokes." Elaine snorted and said, "I can ignore other people's jokes, but I can't help but read the jokes of the Wei family." After that, Elaine said mysteriously, "By the way, do you know that Wendy seemed to have gotten with Barina a few days ago?" "Hey!" Claire was surprised, and blurted out, "No? Barina is in his 30s, and Wendy is around older, right? I think Wendy must look down on him." Elaine curled his lips. "What do you think Wendy is? I tell you, I also heard that Wendy had been a lover for a period of time for Fredman, chairman of East Cliff Future Company Group. Later Fredman transferred her to Barina." Jacob said incredulously, "You said that Fredman from East Cliff? Wendy was his lover? Impossible, right? Fredman is older than my eldest brother." Elaine said, "Your mother wanted to curry favor with Fredman and ask Fredman to save the Wilson family, so she instructed Wendy to get along with Fredman. Fredman was also quite interesting, and he also invested 10 million in the Wilson family. This matter is known to the outside world." "My God," Claire exclaimed, "how could Grandma be so excessive? Let Wendy go with Fredman for money? How could my uncle and aunt agree? They..." Elaine curled her lips and smiled, "They can't expect it." Speaking of this, Elaine said mockingly, "The Lady Wilson's wishful thinking is good, but it is of no use. Fredman only invested 10 million in the Wilson family, and he was reluctant to vote if it was too much." Claire said, "The debts outside the Wilson Group are about 30 million. Having this million is a drop in the bucket. Grandma and the others should not have a good time. She deserves it." Elaine said contemptuously, "Your grandma is really not a good thing. What has happened to bully our family for so many years? I am now anxious that the Wilson family will soon go bankrupt, watching the Lady Wilson sleep on the street. At that time, she will realize how many mistakes she has made in her life. When I think about it, I feel hatred." Jacob on the side said embarrassingly, "Okay, it's really wrong for Mom to do something, but don't curse her like that. If the Wilson family really goes bankrupt and the Lady Wilson really sleeps on the street, she will come to us, we can still ignore her." Elaine blurted out, "What, are you kidding me? Of course it doesn't matter. Don't say that she sleeps on the street and I don't care. Even if she starves to death, I will not care about her. You forgot when she drove our family out, yes, what kind of face? I tell you, I will never forgive her in my life." Jacob sighed and said nothing more. He was indeed angry with the Lady Wilson, but he was only angry, not to mention the hatred of Elaine. Elaine said triumphantly at this time, "I'm looking forward to the end of the Wilson family. By then, they will be over. Our family will move to the big villa in Thompson. I must let them know what is meant by 30 years in hell and 30 years in heaven." After that, Elaine said to Charlie, "Charlie, have you been in contact with Solomon White of the White family recently?" Ask him to arrange for the decoration company to speed up the progress. Let us move in if we say anything next month." Charlie nodded and said, "Solomon White told me that the construction will definitely be completed next month and we will be able to move in then." Claire said, "Isn't it inappropriate to move in as soon as the renovation is completed? How can the air in it taste like?" Elaine hurriedly said, "No need, no, I went to see with your dad last time. They used imported non-polluting materials and zero formaldehyde for the decoration of the house. There is really no smell in the room. The fresh air system is installed, and the fresh air is replaced 24 hours a day. You don't know how advanced and healthy it is." Claire nodded, and said nothing more. In fact, she herself didn't feel much about moving to Thompson's villa. But the last time Charlie was right, at least he could not live on the same floor as his parents when he moved there. In this case, there would be a lot more private space, not as it is now, even in her own room, there is no privacy. Moreover, she also promised Elsa that after moving to the villa, she would reserve a room for her and invite her to live in. She is a girl and has been living in a hotel alone, but it is actually quite deserted. Charlie didn't care about the villa. Before he was 8 years old, he had been in the orphanage for so many years after that. At this time, Elaine suddenly received a WeChat message, picked up the phone and glanced at it, and her brows were instantly happy. She opened the mouth and said to the three of them, "In the afternoon, an old sister asked me to play mahjong at her house. It takes 8 laps. I won't come back for dinner." Jacob said in surprise, 8 laps? Then 10 hours. Elaine gave him a white look and said, "What's the matter with 10 hours? 2 days and 2 nights, more than 40 hours in the big game, I haven't played when I was young." Jacob persuaded, "You are old after all now. Sitting for a long time is prone to many diseases, such as lumbar disc herniation, cervical spondylosis, and high blood pressure, all of which are caused by sitting for a long time." Elaine waved her hand, "I'm in good health, don't curse me." Claire frowned, and couldn't help but say with some worry, "Mom, you occasionally play mahjong for fun. I don't have any opinion, but you listen to advice, one is not to play for too long, and the other is not to if you play that one again, you will win or lose thousands of money." "Oh, playing mahjong is just a fun," Elaine said nonchalantly, "besides, I go out to play mahjong every day. Isn't it for this family? Your dad refuses one. Charlie is not only a rubbish, but also a big fool who deceives people everywhere. They may come to our house in the future. What a disaster, you are starting a business now, and the company has not seen the money back. How will your father and I support it? I will now point to playing mahjong to earn money and subsidize the family." Charlie was very upset. This mother-in-law, she likes to pull him out to make a mockery if she is okay, and now he feels like a big fool. He really wants to draw a big mouth on his face, and tell her, "Since you think I'm a big fool, then I'll fool you Villa, don't live in licking your face." In the final analysis, mother-in-law still owes a lot to clean up. Because there was a card house waiting, Elaine didn't wait for the meal to finish, so he walked out with her bag on her back and immediately took a taxi to an older villa complex. An old friend of hers lives in this villa area. $1 Villa was regarded as a relatively good villa in Oris Hill 20 years ago, but after all, it has been a long time since it has gradually lost some ground. In the past, Elaine felt that $X villa was already a standard mansion, and her family might not be able to live in such a single-family villa in this life. But now it's different. As soon as she thought of being able to live in the best Thompson villa in Oris Hill, Elaine was a little scornful of this $X villa. The old friend who lives here is named Shalane, who Elaine has known many years ago. Shalane's family was a good family. Her husband made a lot of money in the early years, and then died because of an accident, leaving Shalane with a lot of money. After Shalane pulled the child up and sent the child abroad for higher education, she played meh for fun every day. Moreover, Shalane has money and poor card skills. She always loses more and wins less when playing cards. Every time Elaine plays cards with her, she can win points. So Elaine regards Shalane as her god of wealth. As long as Shalane asks her to play cards, she will definitely be there. Ringing the doorbell of Shalane's house, the door opened quickly, and a woman about the age of Elaine, with a warm smile on her face, greeted, "Sister Elaine is here, come in." This middle-aged woman is Shalane. Elaine hurriedly greeted her, stepped through the door, and said with a smile, "Oh, Shalane, I'm so embarrassed to keep you waiting for a long time." When they came to the living room, the other two mahjong friends who often played cards with her were already sitting at the mahjong table and waiting. "Sister Elaine, you can count it." Seeing her coming, another middle-aged woman said impatiently, "Sit down, let's make an 8-lap hot hand." After Elaine and Shalane were both on the mahjong table, the card game officially began. Elaine rubbed the mahjong while saying, "Shalane, you have lived in this villa for some years, right?" After touching a card, Shalane smiled and replied, "This house was bought more than 10 years ago, but it was mainly for investment at the time. After my child went abroad, I have been living in a building in the city. The villa is too big. Living alone is discomforting. Then have you thought about redecorating it?" Elaine came to be interested and said, "I told you that my girl happened to be running a decoration company, and also cooperated with our Oris Hill Emigrant group, and the level is absolutely guaranteed. If you want to redecorate, I can ask her to give you a friendly price. When the time comes, she will definitely make your villa as magnificent as the palace." "Sister Elaine, thank you for your kindness." Shalane smiled slightly, then sighed, and said, "However, I plan to sell this villa." "Sell it?" Elaine asked puzzledly, "Why do you want to sell it? You are not the one who lacks money. Your husband left you 7 or 8 sets of the house, and you have invested in so many real estates yourself. How nice it is to put it here to appreciate." Shalane shook her head and said with a smile, "In fact, I am going to the United States in a while, and I am not going to come back." Elaine asked in surprise, "How do you plan to settle in the United States?" Shalane nodded and said, "I'm telling you, my son has never come back from the United States since he went to study there. Now he is married there, and the daughter-in-law is also pregnant, so he doesn't plan to come back anymore. So he wants me to live with him in the future and help them bring their children by the way." A woman at the poker table blurted out, "Oh, Shalane, are you ready to take action in so many houses in Oris Hill?" Shalane said, "Leave a set of flats in the urban area. If there is a chance in the future, the family can come back for a few days. Hearing this, Elaine couldn't help but feel sorry. She didn't regret that she was about to lose a card friend she got along with, but she felt that Shalane would leave as soon as she said it. In the future, she estimated that it would be difficult for herself to encounter someone like her, who has poor card skills and still enjoys losing money every day. At this moment, at the door of XI Villa, Noah and Horia parked their car and waited for the real estate agent at the door. Noah planned to find a suitable house and spend the 10 million, so he contacted the agency and asked the agency to help find a house worth about 10 million. The average price of house prices in Oris Hill is a little more than 30,000, but the villa will be more expensive. If you buy a new villa for 10 million, it is basically useless, so you can only buy this old villa. Horia looked at the door of the XI villa and said with some dissatisfaction, "Noah, this villa area is a bit too old. Look at these houses, they look a bit older than the Lady Wilsons, or else let's not look at the room here." Noah said, "There is no way, the flat floor of Thompson first grade is good, but you are not willing to buy it." Horia said angrily, "That rubbish Charlie has a villa in Thompson first class. I don't want to stand guard for Jacob and Elaine in the future. I can't buy Thompson first class flats for anything." Noah said, "So, it is more cost effective to buy this kind of old villa. The area is large enough, and it is a single family house. It is also comfortable to live in. It does not matter if the house is old. Just we can renovate it." With that, Noah said again, "You have to consider our situation. Harold has no object, and Wendy has no object. They are one person and one room, plus the two of us, this is 3 bedrooms. In case Harold gets married in the future, he must live with us. When he has a child, he has to give the child a room. That's 4 rooms." Noah continued, "Mum will definitely have to live with us in the future. At that time, we will have to leave a room for her. This is 5 rooms, so the villa is more practical." Horia annoyed and said, "Why does your mother live with us? Why not live with Jacob?" Noah shrugged, "The Lady Wilson has severed ties with Jacob's family. Do you think Jacob will let her live?" Horia was very dissatisfied and said, "Then she can't follow us, we are not affected by the Lady Wilson. Now the Wilson family is almost finished, and it is no good. If I want to say it, I will take her to Jacob's house, whether it is his business or not, we don't care about the Lady Wilson anyway." Noah said, "You don't know that. My mother has a life insurance that has been bought for more than 20 years. It is a wealth management type. After her death, this life insurance can get more than 6 million. If you drive the Lady Wilson to that home, after the Lady Wilson's death, the 6 millions will belong to Jacob." "More than 6 million?" Horia's eyes lit up and she asked in surprise, "Really, there are so many?" "Yeah." Noah said, "This life insurance was bought by my dad when she was alive, so as to leave a way out for future generations." After that, Noah said again, "You count yourself, how many years my mother can live? It's all 3 years or 5 years. Let's take care of her for another 3 to 5 years. After her death, there will be more than 6 million life insurance in our hands, draw it down, 1 or 2 million a year, do you think it's worth it?" "It's worth it." Horia rubbed his hands in excitement, and said excitedly, "Then you have to look good on your mother, and you definitely can't let Jacob's family grab it." Noah nodded and said with a smile, "That's natural. More than 6 million won't be given to Jacob at that time." Horia hurriedly said, "Not only will I not give him more than 6 million pennies, when mother is dead, and we have to pay for funeral and the cemetery, Jacob will have to pay half." Noah subconsciously said, "The Lady Wilson has cut off relations with him, can he pay the money?" "Are you stupid?" Horia blurted out, "The Lady Wilson broke off relations with him. It was verbal and does not have legal effect. When the Lady Wilson dies, if Jacob is unwilling to pay the money, then let's go to court suit him. After all, before the law, he is still the son of Lady Wilson, and he has the responsibility and obligation to pay half of the money." Noah instantly beamed his eyebrows and laughed, "Wife, you are right. By then, Jacob's half can't be discounted by a single point. It's my wife who is smart." Ha ha ha. Horia was also full of pride, and said with a grin, "Jacob and Elaine's two silly dumb hats, playing with us, how can they be our opponents?" As soon as the voice fell, a little real estate agency girl in a small suit came over and asked politely, "Are you Mr. Wilson and Mrs. Wilson?" "Yes, yes, yes." Noah nodded hurriedly and said, "You are the granddaughter of Premium Land Real Estate, right?" "That's right." The little girl smiled slightly and said, "Mr. Wilson and Mrs. Wilson, I have already made an appointment with the owner of this villa. She is in the villa now. We can go directly to inspect the house." "Okay," Noah said hurriedly, "then go over and take a look." While leading the way, the little girl said, "I will introduce you to this villa. The owner is an aunt. This time she wants to clear the property and immigrate to the United States. So the price is slightly cheaper than the market price." Upon hearing this, Noah and Horia couldn't help themselves. "It's cheap. If this villa is suitable, the money saved after it is bought will be used to decorate and save money." On the other side, Elaine was playing mahjong with Shalane and other players, and a pleasant doorbell suddenly rang from outside the door. Shalane said with an apologetic expression, "I'm sorry, it may be that the intermediary brought someone to see the house. I am unaccompanied and go and open the door." After speaking, she stood up, walked to the hallway, and opened the door. Seeing the agent who had previously commissioned the sale of the villa standing outside the door, and seeing her with a middle-aged man and woman behind her, Shalane knew that this was a client who came to see the house, and smiled and said, "Please come in." The agent Wilsonson said, "Miss Shalane, let me introduce to you. This is Mr. Wilson. The one next to him is his wife, Mrs. Wilson. These two are the ones I communicated with you on the phone and are interested in buying this villa." The middle-aged man smiled slightly, took a step forward, and said politely, "Hello, Miss Shalane, my name is Noah, I am glad to meet you." The visitors were Noah and his wife Horia. Shalane hurriedly smiled and said, "Oh, please come in quickly, please come in quickly, I haven't lived in this villa for many years, you can watch it." "Okay." Noah nodded, and after entering the door with Horia, he began to look at the layout and decoration of the villa. The agent on the side said with a smile, "Mr. Wilson, the $X Villa area is the first villa area developed by our Oris Hill. The supporting facilities are relatively complete, and access is controlled. It can fully guarantee your safety. The villa has an actual living area of 470 square meters, which fully meets your previous requirements. The reason why Noah bought the old villa was because it was a cheap one. A normal 470 square meter villa cost at least 20 million in Oris Hill, but the price of this villa is generally 134 million, and the price is still dozens. 10,000 downsides. So he asked Shalane, "Ms. Shalane, how much is your villa going to sell for?" "I am going to the United States soon. This villa is in a hurry for sale, so the price will be relatively cheaper." Shalane smiled slightly and said, "Well, if you two have intentions, a price of 12 million, what do you think?" "What, are you stealing the money?" Horia couldn't believe it. She raised her voice, blurted out, "For such an old villa, you actually asked for 12 million. Shalane was not angry, and said with a smile, "In this community, most of the listings are above 13.5 million, and there are even more than 14 million. I quoted 12 million. In fact, it's already a very, very cost-effective reserve price." Elaine was sitting in the entertainment hall of the villa. She heard the sound outside that was particularly familiar, and quietly glanced out, and suddenly saw Horia with a look of disgust. And next to her is Noah, the eldest son of the Wilson family. Elaine didn't expect that these two people would actually be here. Combined with what Shalane said just now, it is estimated that they are customers who want to buy Shalane's old villa. Isn't the Wilson family going cold? Can they still afford a villa? At this time, Horia said with an arrogant expression, "Ms. Shalane, to be honest with you, only a fool would buy 12 million, and I heard that you are going to the United States soon. I don't think so. Give you a price of 8 million. You sell the house, and we can trade today. You can pack your bags and go to the United States tomorrow. The best of both worlds." The main reason why Horia kept the price down was that the other party was anxious to sell. Since she was anxious to sell, she would definitely have to bargain to death so that she could make a fortune. She felt that Shalane was just going to the United States, not anxious enough, if someone in the family was dying and waiting for first aid. Maybe 5 or 6 million can be won. However, Horia didn't know that Shalane had money, and there were only a few houses alone, so she was not the one who lacked money at all. How could she ask Horia to cut the meat with a knife because she was in a hurry to sell her house? Naturally, Shalane knew that Horia was not at ease. She frowned and said with some disapproval, "Mrs. Wilson, let's not hide it. Although my villa is a bit old, the price given to you is quite reasonable. In the market, you will definitely not find a lower price than mine. As for the price of 8 million you said, it is simply a fantasy." After speaking, Shalane said again, "Since the two of you don't have this sincerity, then I don't think we need to continue talking." Noah knew very well in his heart that a counter-offer of 8 million would be a bullshit. Saying 8 million for this house was a joke. As long as the owner hangs out 11 million, someone will eat it within half an hour, because the house is indeed very expensive. It's cheaper. So he hurried to accompany with a smile and said, "Ms. Shalane, don't be angry, my wife is not sensible, so she will talk nonsense. Horia glared at Noah and said, I'm not sensible? Who is in charge of the family, you forgot. I tell you, don't be a shit stick with this. I think this house will cost 8 million. Nothing. After finishing speaking, she tried her best to wink at Noah, which means, look at her. She specified that this woman can be taken down. At this time, Elaine came over with a smile on her face and said cheerfully, oh, eldest brother and sister-in-law, 8 million you want to buy a villa, are you too crazy? Horia and Noah never dreamed that they would meet Elaine here. The two of them didn't even understand why Elaine was in this villa. Could it be that she and this Shalane are friends? Horia felt a little annoyed. In fact, she had planned to do it at the beginning. First kill the price of 8 million, if the other party really disagrees, she can keep increasing, up to 9 million, and it is estimated that she can win it. However, she did not expect Elaine to be here at this time. Moreover, this Elaine is usually respectful to her. Why did she dare to mock her when she came up today? She has eaten the courage of the bear heart and leopard? Elaine was bullied by Noah and Horia since she married into the Wilson family. After being bullied for more than 20 years, she hated them for a long time. And she also heard that the Wilson family is going to be bankrupt now, so she had long wanted to find a chance to taunt the two, but she didn't expect God to be really eye-opening, and she would run into them here. This allowed Elaine to find an opportunity to avenge his hatred. After Horia heard her sarcasm, her face was very ugly, and she asked, Elaine, what do you mean by this? Elaine smiled and said, oh, sister-in-law, do you really not understand or fake? My friend's villa of more than 10 million, you only give 8 million, you are shameless? I know you are poor recently, you are crazy, but can't come out to grab it. When she said this, she didn't conceal anything, nor did she want to conceal it, let alone what Noah felt in the heart. Husband Jacob has no status in Wilson's family. She has been held down by the couple for so many years, and she has long been suffocated. Now that she has a chance to step on a foot, she naturally wants them to feel the bitterness that she has tasted over the years. Horia's face was even more ugly. She glared at her, and said, okay, Elaine, I haven't seen you in a few days. You have become more skilled, right? I used to be like a mouse and a cat. Now you dare to do this. Talk to me. She was naturally angry too. In the past, Elaine was inferior in front of her Wilson family's sister-in-law, who was the only one who didn't dare to breathe. But now, seeing that the Wilson family was about to be finished, this Lady Wilson immediately dared to jump out and run herself. What a villain! When Elaine saw her mention the past, she immediately said arrogantly, oh, sister-in-law, you thought you are the Lady Wilson, and wanted to press me everywhere. Don't look at how poor you are now. Pretending to me. She said with contempt, to tell you the truth, I have seen not pleasing to your eyes for a long time. Over the years, if the Lady Wilson had been partial to you, your eldest daughter-in-law, how could I have swallowed my breath and praised your stink every day? Feet? A stinky lady who only knows how to kneel and lick old ladies. Now that the Wilson family is down, what else do you want to pretend to be with me? Yuck! You can hurry up and take a pee and take your own virtues. Horia's angry face turned green. In the entire Wilson family, could it be that she was the only one kneeling and licking the old Mrs. Wilson? When Elaine rushed to lick the Lady Wilson, "You did everything, but you worked harder than me. Everyone is the same thing. Are you embarrassed to say me?" Noah's face was pale, and he stepped forward and scolded, "Elaine, you are less damned in this villain. No matter how downright we are better than you. You don't want to see what you have? Husband is a rubbish, son-in-law also waste, the whole family is waste." Elaine's eyes were wide, and she said with disdain, "Oh, big brother, my husband is really waste, but there is no way, the men of the Wilson family are waste, don't you know this in your heart?" "You?" Noah gritted his teeth. "Good you, Elaine, I scolded your husband, your words brought me and my son in too?" At this time, Elaine did not give him a chance to continue speaking, but pinched her waist and said with a proud face, "But, don't you say that my son-in-law Charlie is rubbish, my baby son-in-law, now he is amazing." "Quite. Don't say anything else, it is because of my son-in-law we will be able to live in Thompson's big villa next month. Do you have it?" In fact, Elaine can't really afford Charlie. However, at this time, using Charlie to ridicule Noah was really just right. When Noah heard this, his heart was really uncomfortable to death. That's right. Charlie's rubbish can actually flicker to a Thompson first-class villa, what about himself? Now he is going to buy this kind of second-hand villa with 20 years of age, the other one, here are 10 on top. Seeing Noah's ugly and uncomfortable expression, Elaine was happy, and almost danced a square dance in excitement. She continued to attack Noah, sighing and saying, "Oh, before, I really thought Charlie was a rubbish, so I couldn't look down on him. At that time, I envied my eldest brother and sister-in-law. Your Wendy," she went to the White family's young Mr. Gerald, "isn't this just flying on a branch and becoming a phoenix?" As she said, Elaine sighed and shook her hand with regret. "Hey, but who would have thought that Wendy would be dumped by Gerald? Tell me about this Gerald, really the scumbag among the scumbags. It's a big game." Wendy's belly swallowed. What was the reason? Horia and Noah looked at each other, and they were already annoyed to kill. This stinky lady dared to expose her shortness, it's damned. At this moment, Elaine continued, "But, I still envy you. Although Gerald dumped Wendy, I heard that Wendy hired a son-in-law for my elder brother and sister-in-law. I heard that he is Fredman, the chairman of Future Company Group, is much better than Gerald." Speaking of this, Elaine said with regret, "However, this Fredman is good everywhere, just a little older, brother. Fredman seems to be 2 or 3 years older than you. Can I ask you, what is it like to hire a son-in-law who is older than you?" Horia couldn't hear the irony in these words, her angry face was livid, and she shouted angrily, "Elaine! Shut up! Otherwise I will tear your mouth down." "Yo!" Elaine said disdainfully, "Sister-in-law, what I'm telling you is the truth, why don't you let me tell? You have a guilty conscience? You want to tear my mouth?" Speaking of this, Elaine snorted coldly, and said, "I tell you Horia, don't think you have a son-in-law who is older than you, you just want to bully me. Don't think I don't know, Director Fredman, he has already dumped your Wendy." Am I right? Also, I heard that Fredman still gave your Wendy to Barona from the Way family? Oh, this Fredman is really interesting. Wendy is a person, not a gift, not a puppy, so how can she be casual give away someone? It looks like it's better than my precious son-in-law Charlie. Although it's a little bit useless, it's at least reliable and won't give up to our family. Horia was ridiculed by Elaine, and she was going crazy. She grinned and rushed to fight Elaine, hysterically cursing, "Elaine! I am fighting with you today." When Elaine saw that Horia was about to come up and do something, she immediately jumped a step back and said coldly, "I tell you Horia, you can't offend me, you'd better not indulge me." Horia cursed with a stern face, "I can't afford to offend you, Lady Wilson. If I don't tear your mouth today, I would change my name." Elaine snorted and said coldly, "My precious son-in-law Charlie, that's a very good fight. You forgot how he taught the Wilson family's dog legs, and your rubbish son Harold? Kick your son up into the sky. You provoke me, believe it or not, I will call him over with a phone call and let him kill you two old turtles." As soon as these words came out, Horia trembled all over, like a deflated ball, all the rhetoric just now disappeared. To be honest, Charlie really left a strong psychological shadow on her. She couldn't understand why the rubbish who could be bullied before suddenly became so capable of beating. He was a pervert when he struck up people. Noah was also very afraid of Charlie, after all, he had watched Charlie do it with his own eyes at the beginning, and that guy almost did scare him to pee. Elaine saw that the two of them were afraid to say anything, knowing that they were both afraid of him, and immediately sneered, "Oh, I really sympathize with you when, I say. The Wilson family is over, Harold and Wendy have no objective, and Wendy is now in Oris Hill, and that is also well known to all. You will definitely be particularly sad in the future." As she said, Elaine said with a serious face, "Don't blame me for not reminding you. Just don't buy a villa if you look like a bird." "What kind of villa do you buy? There are mines at home. You might eat it any day. In the absence of a last meal, let me see, you should go to the suburbs to buy a cheap small house, and take the remaining money to do a small business." Noah and Horia were so angry that they couldn't speak. Elaine continued, "Right. I think you might as well open a mahjong hall. In this case, when Shalane's villa is sold, I will take my sisters to your mahjong hall to support you, so that you will not starve to death. What do you think?" Noah had a heart attack. Horia on the side wanted to kill Elaine. This is the first time they have seen Elaine so unsparingly sarcastic. Even the most ruthless sarcasm they have suffered in their entire lives. What's even more hateful is that they can't talk back. Why is this mouth back? Eating, dressing, housing, use, daughter, son-in-law, everything is better than Elaine, this stinky lady. Thinking of this, Noah and his wife were even more frustrated. They were so ashamed and angry that they wanted to dig a hole directly on the spot. Elaine was in a mess at this time, and she even wanted to open her throat to sing a few more words. She can't remember how long she hasn't been so happy. She is simply repaying the previous hatred, even with the benefits. Noah knew that he couldn't find his face today, so he said coldly, "Elaine, sooner or later you will pay for your arrogance of today." Elaine nodded and sighed, Yes, big brother, I think the price will come soon. I will move to Thompson's big villa next month. The house is so big that I might be in it every day, I will be lost several times. How can I live in this house now? The house there is so big and tall, I'm afraid that I won't adapt to it. As she said, Elaine sighed again and said, Hey, when we live in Thompson, we will be separated from eldest brother, and we will not see each other often in the future, so I can't listen to what the eldest brother and sister-in-law say often. These are the prices I have to pay for today. Noah felt that he was going to be blown up soon. In order to save his life, he gritted his teeth and stomped his feet and cursed, If you don't buy the house, let's go. After speaking, he took Horia and went out. The intermediary girl on the side greeted her in a very embarrassing manner. Although she despised the two customers after listening to Elaine's words, the customer is God after all. When Shalane saw the two gone, she couldn't help sighing, Sister Elaine, your two relatives are too weird, do they think I am a fool? They wanted to buy my villa for 8 million. Elaine smiled and said, They are about to go bankrupt, and they have no money at all. They are just a bunch of poor people. Even if you promise them to sell for 8 million, they may not be able to pay. Shalane nodded and said, It's really disappointing. Let's ignore them and continue playing cards. When Noah and his wife Horia left the villa, they scolded the people in the street, in unison. The main reason why they didn't dare to scold in front of Elaine was because they were afraid of her son-in-law Charlie. If they really get beaten, it will be a big loss. The intermediary followed the two of them. After they had enough scolding, she cautiously asked, Mr. and Mrs. Wilson, are you two still looking for other houses? Horiya's face was extremely ugly, she glared at her and cursed, Look at your mother, get out. After speaking, she took Noah and walked out of the community. The little girl was aggrieved in tears, but because of her weak temper, she didn't have the courage. But when Horiya went out, she wanted to get more and more angry, and couldn't help but say to Noah, This Elaine, she doesn't know how to show off if she has too stinky money. Look at her virtuous attitude. She actually showed off that she was going to live in the Thompson first grade, and she panicked for us. Whose big villa is, does she have no idea? If Charlie's rubbish goes out to deceive people, what can she do? Noah said with a cold face, agreeing, This stinky girl is really too much. As he said, he sighed and said helplessly, However, we have nothing to do with her now. Whoever makes our Wilson family fail soon, anyone or a dog can come over and step on. Horiya couldn't help asking, Then we still buy a house? If you don't, your mother wants you to give her 8 million. Buy, of course we must buy it. Noah said, The house must be bought, but not now. Horiya hurriedly asked, When will you buy it? Noah said, Elaine, the stinky lady, has too money now. In my opinion, we might as well make a round for her. Do it? What game? Horiya was surprised. Noah said with a sullen expression, Doesn't she like gambling? Then let's make a bet. First use a little petty profit to lure her into the set, lure her to play the bigger the bet, and then let the experienced old master do something. Get all her money, hands, and feet. Speaking of this, Noah sneered, and said, it's best to let her mortgage Thompson's first-grade villa to us. In that case, we can turn over. Elaine didn't know that Noah and Horia had already coveted her assets and the Thompson first-class villa of her son-in-law Charlie. She was in Chalane's house, and she started to rub mahjong with her friends. She didn't go home until dinner time. The four old ladies ordered some KFC takeaways. One of them was holding a family bucket, eating chicken legs and rubbing mahjong. The one that rubs the mahjong is called Shiny. Charlie finished the meal and was eating with his wife and father-in-law. Claire couldn't help complaining when seeing his mother still not coming back, saying, "Dad, you also take care of my mother occasionally, don't keep her all day long to play." "Do I care about her?" Jacob snorted, and said, "I don't have the ability to do it." "You have to do it. If I could do it to your mother, I won't be here today." "Do you know why your grandma prefers your uncle, right?" "Do I need to tell you?" Claire asked in surprise. "It's not because of my mother, right? It's because of her." Jacob sighed and said, "Your grandfather and your grandma didn't allow us to get married at the beginning. If your mother had you before she was unmarried, your grandfather wouldn't compromise." Charlie was surprised when he listened. He didn't expect the mother-in-law and the old master to run with the ball. At this time, Jacob said to Claire again, "Actually, your grandma has never liked your mother, and it hasn't changed for more than 20 years. "Why?" Claire asked puzzledly. "Is there any dissatisfaction? Should we not let go of prejudices for more than 20 years? Jacob said, "Your grandma said that your mother is a shrew, and she thinks your mother's family is relatively poor." Claire sighed in embarrassment and said, "It's not good to say, my grandma is not much better than my mother, you're right." Jacob nodded and said, "I think the reason why your grandma doesn't like your mother is because she feels too much like herself." Claire rubbed her temples and murmured, "I think what you said makes sense." Charlie on the side did not speak, but in his heart he also agreed with Jacob's words. The old Mrs. Wilson is the big devil, Elaine is the little devil, and the big devil will get old, so she will be afraid when she sees the little devil. She is afraid that one day she will grow old and the little devil will become the big devil, and then start oppressing her. Therefore, this is also the fundamental reason why she has been pressing Elaine all the time. The relationship between Chinese mother-in-law and daughter-in-law is very subtle, but in the final analysis, it is nothing more than one point: the mother-in-law wants to hold the daughter-in-law firmly, and the daughter-in-law desperately wants to get rid of the control of the mother-in-law. Especially Mrs. Wilson, a woman with a particularly strong desire for control. I am afraid that no one can stand it. At this time, the TV that had been playing Oris Hill News suddenly interrupted a piece of news. The host said, "The following is an emergency news. A few days ago, the chairman of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical Co., Ltd., Masao Kobayashi died in an accident in Tokyo. According to Japanese media, the cause of death was that his eldest son, Ichiro, gave him poison. It shows that Masao Kobayashi took a drug with a strong excitatory effect, which caused the heart to become overloaded and he died of a sudden heart attack." Speaking of this, the host said, "Interpol has received news that Ichiro is currently hiding in Oris Hill, and now the Kobayashi family is offering a reward of 3 billion yen to hunt down Ichiro, so a large number of Japanese killers and gang members have entered." In Oris Hill, the police are actively hunting down these killers. The general public are requested to be vigilant and call the police immediately if they find suspicious persons. When Jacob heard this, he smacked his lips and said, "This Ichiro is really a beast. In order to inherit the family property, he will not let go of his own father." Charlie on the side laughed twice. He wanted to cure his father's paralysis, so he was a filial son. It's a pity that this son was in his own hands, so this great filial son has now become a beast that everyone spurned. After 2 days of fermentation, the death of Masao Kobayashi, the president of Japan's Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals, has already aroused great concern in Japan. Under the vigorous propaganda of Kobayashi's second son, Jiro, Ichiro became the chief culprit who poisoned his biological father and tried to occupy Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. The whole Japan scolded Ichiro, thinking that he was the most unfilial livestock in Japan. At the same time, Jiro also increased the reward for killing Ichiro from 1 billion yen to 3 billion. He now wants to quickly take the position of chairman of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical Co., Limited, so he must let his brother die quickly, and never let him return to Japan alive. Jiro also knows very well that his elder brother never intended to kill his father, otherwise he would never be in China and would kill his father remotely. Then, if his father died, he could not take over immediately. Wouldn't it be a waste of money for him? Therefore, he can also guess that the eldest brother is dying now. After all, Kobayashi Pharmaceutical gave Charlie 10 billion, which is enough to see that Charlie was behind the whole incident. However, the eldest brother has nothing to do with the wrongdoing. He is not wronged. He is the eldest son succeeding to the throne. What's the matter with himself? If his second son wanted to counterattack, he had to suppress his eldest son. Because of this, he couldn't wait to let his eldest brother die in Oris Hill. Because if Ichiro could never speak, his position would be more stable. From his continuous increase in the bounty, it can also be seen that this person is now very eager to kill Ichiro as soon as possible. So Charlie sent a WeChat to Orville, asking him to contact Jiro, asking for 1 billion. If he puts out 1 billion, he will sell him Ichiro, and if he can't get it, he will escort Ichiro back to Tokyo to open a press conference to clarify the reason, and then openly compete with him for the successor of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. Charlie's thinking is simple. If Jiro wants to be the chairman, he must cooperate with him. Otherwise, he will let Ichiro trouble him. If the brothers share Kobayashi Pharmaceutical, the loss will be far greater in billions. Without saying anything, Mr. Orville immediately contacted Jiro and told him Charlie's request intact. Jiro went crazy after hearing this. Billion? Kobayashi Pharmaceutical has given Charlie 10 billion for the prescription of that poison. The 10 billion thing was given by Kobayashi Pharmaceutical Co., Limited voluntarily at the beginning, and it was his father who was fooled by the other party. When he think about it, it's irritating. My father spent 10 billion to buy a poison, and then he ate it himself to death and took his life. If this transaction were to spread out, it would be the first unjust case in the ages. Jiro felt that if Charlie wanted to be a person, he should just kill his eldest brother as a reward. He didn't expect this guy to speak up and ask him 1 billion. When did he open a bank? Jiro really hated Charlie crazy. However, he didn't dare to offend Charlie 10,000 people. Therefore, he could only bargain with Orville. The tone was very religious and said, "Mr. Orville, can you convey to Mr. Charlie, Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals' account is only 2 to 3 billion, and many sales channels have not paid us back, and we still owe several billion bank loans or we are under great pressure now." Orville said, "Mr. Charlie is always the same, so don't imagine that you can bargain with Mr. Charlie." Jiro begged, "Mr. Orville, I'm really having a hard time now. If you don't want to do this, you can ask Mr. Charlie to delay me for 2 months. After 2 months, I will definitely give the money, but these 2 months during the time, he must not let my brother show up and speak up, let alone let him return to Japan." 2 months, Orville thought for a while, and said, "Wait a moment, I will ask Mr. Charlie." After speaking, he immediately sent Charlie a WeChat, telling him Jiro's request for payment in 2 months. Charlie was clearing the dining table. Seeing this WeChat message, he did not hesitate to reply, "Tell him, and then bargain with me, I will talk to his brother, and then I will send his brother back to Japan to grab the property. I ask his brother for 5 billion, and he would agree." Ichiro is still hiding in the kennel of Orville. He knows that there are countless people outside who want to kill him, so he is in panic all day long. In his opinion, he might die one day. So, if Charlie gave him a chance to return to Japan to regain the property, then he would give Charlie the 80% property he robbed. There will be no hesitation. What Orville received from Charlie, and he immediately shared with Jiro, "Kobayashi, you are now bargaining with Mr. Charlie for 1 billion, but have you ever thought about it? If Mr. Charlie and your brother Ichiro had a good chat, send him back to Japan to grab the property, Ichiro may promise to pay Mr. Charlie 2 billion or 3 billion in remuneration. By then, you will not lose a billion. As far as I know, Kobayashi Pharmaceutical is a company with a market value of tens of billions." Upon hearing this, Jiro gritted his teeth and said without hesitation, "Mr. Orville, please tell Mr. Charlie, I agree. I'll go raise money now." In fact, although there is not much money in the accounts of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical Company, there are still a lot of deposits in the personal account of Jiro's father, Masao Kobayashi. This money was supposed to be his father's inheritance, and the two brothers shared it together, but as long as his brother Ichiro died, Kobayashi Pharmaceutical, as well as all the deposits, cash, antiques, and real estate left by his father, belonged to him alone. Therefore, he did not dare to delay any more. After only 10 minutes, he transferred the money to Charlie's account, and at the same time called Orville and said, "Mr. Orville, the money has been transferred to Mr. Charlie's account. Please let Mr. Charlie check it, and by the way, please send my brother on the road as soon as possible after receiving the money. I hope he will die soon." Orville agreed and said, "Mr. Charlie has always placed the most credibility, don't worry, as long as the money is received, your brother will be completely resolved and let him evaporate from the world." After hanging up the phone, Orville immediately sent a WeChat message to Charlie and asked, "Mr. Wade, have you received the money from Jiro?" Charlie replied, "I have." Orville hurriedly asked, "Do you want me to kill Ichiro now? Then take another video for Jiro to see." Charlie replied, "You hide Ichiro, then find someone who can do special effects, shoot a headshot of Ichiro's fake video and send it to Jiro to make sure he believes his brother is dead. Orville asked in surprise, "Mr. Wade, are you trying to save Ichiro's life?" Charlie said, "Yes, keeping Ichiro will be of great use in the future. Maybe someday I can get Kobayashi Pharmaceutical with him, and kill him for $1 billion. It's too cheap for Jiro." Later, Charlie said again, "In addition, you don't think about morality in this matter. After all, we and the Japanese have no morality to talk about. On the contrary, the more miserable they can be, the better." "I understand." Orville hurriedly said, "Don't worry, I will arrange more manpower to protect Ichiro well." At this moment, the Song family mansion. The large family of the Song family was eating at the restaurant and discussed about Kobayashi Pharmaceutical. Mr. Song Jimo, after seeing the news of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical, he said, "I always have a feeling that this incident of Kobayashi Pharmaceutical seems to be related to Mr. Wade." Warnya, who had just picked up a piece of broccoli, suddenly stopped, silently put the broccoli in a bowl, did not eat or speak. On the side, her cousin Honor said, "Grandpa, I also feel this way. I heard that Masao Kobayashi of Kobayashi Pharmaceuticals took a special medicine to cure the paralysis first, and then died suddenly. And I also heard that at the Oris Hill Traditional Medicine Expo, Ichiro asked the genius doctor to have a prescription to treat hemiplegia. I speculate that the medicine that the genius doctor used to cure hemiplegia should be the medicine Charlie gave you." Grandpa Song said immediately, "Honor, Mr. Wade's name is not something you can call directly." Honor hurriedly changed his words, "I'm sorry, Grandpa, I didn't react for a while. I think the medicine given to him should be the same as the medicine Mr. Wade gave you." Seeing that he changed his tongue quickly and sincerely, old Mr. Song nodded in approval and exclaimed, "I think so too. Tiankai's medical skills are indeed very good, but he hasn't come back to life and turned decadent into a miraculous point. Only Mr. Wade, the magical medicine of China, has this effect." With that, Mr. Song couldn't help sighing again, and said, "The medicine given by Mr. Wade last time is indeed very effective. I was already a dying person before. After eating, I just feel that my body is much stronger, but it may be that I was too ill before, and now although my life is not in danger, my body is still somewhat languid, I am still old." Honor hurriedly said, "Grandpa, or I will go to Mr. Wade again, ask him for a magical medicine, or buy a magical medicine for you. If you can take another magical medicine, believe in your physical condition. There will be great relief." Father Song hurriedly waved his hand and said, "It's impossible. Mr. Wade has given medicine to the Song family. We haven't paid him back this favor. If we venture to ask for medicine, it will appear that we are insatiable and greedy. Know yourself." Honor couldn't understand the respect that Grandpa showed to Charlie. Father Song regarded Charlie as a god for the same reason as Tiankai. Both of them were already old men in their twilight years. The more they knew the fate of heaven, the more they were afraid of the fate. To put it bluntly, they were afraid of death. However, Honor is less than 30 this year. If you tell him that someone can make him live for another 5 years in the future, he may dismiss it at all, but for the old master in his twilight years, if someone can make him live for another 5 years, that is the true God in his eyes. Warnya can more or less understand Grandpa's psychological thoughts. After all, unlike Honor, she also has a magical medicine given by Charlie, and that magical medicine has been hidden in the car by her, except for herself and Charlie, no one knows. With that medicine, Warnya felt an unprecedented peace of mind, because she knew that if anything happens to her, as long as the medicine was in her hands, she would have the chance to come back against the wind and survive. This kind of opportunity, just tell others, no one thinks it's great, because they know that this kind of opportunity can't have anything to do with them. Honor is the same. He knows that Charlie's magical medicine is precious. If he can get one, he will definitely use it to cheat the old master, and then try to make the old master take a higher look at himself. Maybe in the future he can inherit more from the Song family assets. He will not keep the medicine in his hands like Warnya. It is not that Warnya is not filial to her father. More often, she feels that this medicine represents Charlie's concern for her. Charlie definitely hoped that she would keep this medicine in her hands. Therefore, deep down in her heart, she didn't want to disappoint Charlie's hope for herself, and she didn't want to use the things Charlie gave her to win Grandpa's appreciation. At this time, Old Master Song suddenly remembered something and blurted out, "By the way, Honor, Warnya, you two will go to the Sanity Lab Hospital together if there is nothing to do after dinner." Sanity Lab Hospital? Honor asked in amazement. "Grandpa, why are we going there? Is there anything wrong?" Mr. Song said, "The younger generation of Suhangwu family came to Oris Hill. I heard that something happened to a junior in the family, so they rushed over." As he said, the old Master Song said again, "It is Regner, the eldest son of the Wu family, who is the same as your father, but your father is not in Oris Hill now. Take a look, after all, our relationship has always been good." Honor nodded, and suddenly realized, "I remember, the kid on YouTube who was mad and robbed of shit some time ago seems to be a junior from the Wu family, right?" "Oh, brother," Warnya put down her chopsticks and said helplessly, "I'm still eating, why are you talking about those disgusting things?" Honor smiled and said, "I'm sorry, but I'm quick." Father Song also watched the video, and his expression suddenly became a little disgusting, so he put down his chopsticks and said, "I heard that the junior from the Wu family has been in the Sanity Lab Hospital for the past 2 days. Say hello to Regner and tell him that your father is not in Oris Hill, so he can't come to visit, so that he doesn't take offense, and by the way, he will also say hello to your father." "Okay, Grandpa." Honor nodded hastily. The Suhangwu family is the first family in the south of the Yangtze River. It is more powerful than the Song family. The Song family can rank in the top 5 in Oris Hill, but can't make it into the top 3. These top-notch big families are actually very close to each other. Generally, whoever arrives at their home court, the host will do their best to entertain and show their sincerity. Warnya asked at this moment, "Grandpa, do you want us to take any gifts?" Mr. Song said, "In the past few years, someone gave me a piece of cold jade, which has the effect of calming and soothing. Take it to Regner. Tell him it is for the sick junior in their family. The effect should be small, but it is better than nothing." Warnya nodded, and said, "Okay, Grandpa, I will." At this time, Old Master Song stood up and said to Warnya, "Warnya, come with me. Okay, Grandpa. Warnya didn't know, so she hurriedly got up and followed her grandpa to his study. In the study, Mr. Song tremblingly sat on a mahogany chair, and asked Warnya, "Warnya, let me ask you, how have you been with Mr. Wade recently?" When Warnya heard this, her face instantly blushed, saying, "Grandpa, that." Grandpa Song smiled and said, "You kid, what is there to be embarrassed about? Just say anything." Warnya said embarrassingly, "Grandpa, Mr. Wade has been very busy recently. We have almost no chance to meet." Grandpa Song's expression was a little disappointed and said, "Warnya, you can't waste it like this. You are still young, but Grandpa is about to die. You can wait, but Grandpa can't wait for a few years," as he said. Mr. Song hurriedly said again, "Warnya, Grandpa said this not to kidnap you morally, nor to force you to have to do with Mr. Wade. The main reason is that Grandpa can also see that in your heart. You really like Mr. Wade, right?" Warnya nodded lightly, her face flushed and hot. She really became more and more enamored of Charlie. She likes a strong man, like a man with ability. The stronger the man, the more attractive she feels. Therefore, she was enamored with Charlie. There was really no suspense, it was inevitable. Mr. Song sighed softly, and said, "The only pity is that Mr. Wade got married too early, but in modern society, everyone sees these things very lightly. For a man, second marriage is nothing, and third marriage is not even called. It's a matter, so you don't need to care about a man who has been married before. You don't need to care about who his first wife is. You just need to know that all you have to do is to keep a good man by your side forever, even if he has already been married 10 times of marriage, as long as he can stay by your side, it's more important than anything." Warnya nodded slightly and said piously, "Grandpa, I understand what you are saying. It's just that I can't chase Mr. Wade too tightly for fear that he will dislike me because of this, because I heard that Mr. Wade treats his wife very well." "Yet," Mr. Song said in agreement, "in this case, it's not wrong for you to fight steadily, step by step, and secretly go through it." With that, Mr. Song suddenly remembered something and hurriedly said, "By the way, it will be my 80th birthday in a few days. Please invite Mr. Wade to come over to the birthday banquet when you turn around. It's just this opportunity to meet him. This increases the relationship." Warnya hurriedly said, "Okay, Grandpa, I will." "Yet." Mr. Song nodded and said, "It's okay, it's not too early. You can go to Sanity Lab Hospital with honor to see the junior of Wu's family first. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.